Some memories are carried not in photographs or medals, but in the quiet corners of the heart, unspoken, unyielding, and eternal. For Emma, the loss of Marine Corporal Daniel Hayes was a wound that time could never fully heal. They had never been more than friends, yet his sudden death during deployment shattered her world in ways no one could see. For years, Emma carried Daniel's memory alone, a silent guardian of his story, never imagining that one day the brothers who fought beside him would come to her with a gift that transcended grief, a gift that would forever change the way she remembered and honored the man she loved. Absolutely. The day Emma received the news, the world around her seemed to tilt and lose its balance in a way she could never have anticipated. It was early morning when the phone rang, its shrill sound cutting through the quiet stillness of her apartment. She had learned over time to expect unexpected calls, but nothing had prepared her for this one. When the voice on the other end spoke the words she dreaded, Daniel was gone. Everything inside her shattered. Daniel Hayes was more than just a Marine. To Emma, he had been a quiet presence in her life, someone she admired from a distance, though their relationship had never been defined by romance or closeness. They shared moments of laughter, exchanged knowing glances during town gatherings, and connected in small but meaningful ways that lingered in her memory. He was a symbol of strength and integrity, a man committed to a cause greater than himself. Yet hearing that he had fallen in service felt like losing a part of her own soul. In the days that followed, Emma felt caught between worlds. The routine of life continued around her, the hum of cars, the chatter of neighbors, the ticking of clocks. But inside, time seemed to stand still. Each breath was heavy, each step weighed down by grief too vast to articulate. She struggled to comprehend how someone so full of life, with dreams and hopes, could be gone so suddenly, his future stolen in a flash of violence and sacrifice. The news brought a tidal wave of emotions, shock, disbelief, anger, and a profound sadness that clung to her like a shadow. She found herself retreating from the world, pulling away from friends and family who tried to offer comfort but could not reach the depths of her loss. Emma's nights became restless, haunted by visions of what might have been, by the unanswered questions swirling endlessly in her mind. Why him? Why now? How could life move on when his had been cut so short? Emma's pain was compounded by the silence that often follows loss. There were no easy answers, no scripts to follow, and no roadmap for navigating a grief so raw. The world expected her to mourn quietly, to carry on with dignity, but inside she was unraveling. The weight of memories shared and moments missed pressed down on her, a heavy reminder of all the things she never got to say, of all the times she would never have again. Yet amid the darkness, Emma found herself holding on to something fragile, a flicker of reverence and love that refused to be extinguished. She realized that Daniel's memory was not just a source of sorrow, but also a wellspring of strength. Though his physical presence was gone, the impact he had made on those around him, including her, was undeniable. He had embodied courage and loyalty, and those qualities lingered in her heart like a quiet promise. She began to understand that carrying Daniel's memory was a choice, one she made every day. It was a way to honor his life, to keep his spirit alive, even when the world seemed intent on forgetting. Emma carried that memory in the way she spoke his name in the stillness, in the way she traced the outline of moments they had shared, and in the quiet rituals she created to feel close to him, despite the distance death had placed between them. This chapter of Emma's life was marked by an intimate struggle, a balance between holding on and learning to let go. The pain was constant, yet so was her determination to find meaning in it. She knew that grief was not a linear path, but a landscape filled with unexpected twists and turns. And though she could not yet see the horizon, she held on to the belief that somehow, in time, she would find a way to carry Daniel's memory, not as a burden, but as a source of hope and inspiration. In this way, Emma began the long journey of healing, not by forgetting, but by embracing the full depth of what Daniel had meant to her and to all who loved him. The day the world changed for her was the beginning of a story that would unfold over years, marked by pain, resilience, and an unbreakable bond that death could never erase. After the initial shock of losing Daniel had settled into a quiet ache, Emma found herself searching for ways to keep him close, to hold on to the connection that death had tried to sever. She began writing letters, not to send, not to mail or deliver, but simply to write. These letters became her secret sanctuary, a private space where she could speak freely to the man she missed so deeply without fear or judgment. Each word she penned was a thread tying her to him, an effort to bridge the vast distance that separated them now. In those letters, Emma poured out everything she felt, words she never found the courage to say when Daniel was alive, feelings that surfaced only in the solitude of night. She wrote about the little things that had changed since his death, about the moments when the world seemed unbearably empty, and about the small victories that reminded her he was still with her in spirit. She shared her regrets, her hopes, and the quiet prayers she whispered into the darkness. These letters were her way of continuing the conversation, keeping their bond alive through ink and paper. The act of writing became a lifeline, a way to wrestle with the overwhelming grief that threatened to consume her. At times, her hands trembled as she held the pen, the emotions too intense to contain. Other times, the words flowed effortlessly, a cathartic release that gave voice to the silent ache in her heart. She never intended for anyone to read these letters. They were hers alone, a sacred dialogue between two souls separated by fate but united by memory. Each letter became a chapter in her ongoing story of loss and love. Emma wrote about the seasons changing outside her window, the laughter of children playing in the park, the quiet moments when she felt Daniel's presence most strongly. She told him about the milestones she faced without him, birthdays, holidays, and even the simplest days when the weight of his absence was almost unbearable. Through the letters, she invited him back into her life, if only for a moment, to share in the life he was no longer part of. The letters also served as a mirror, reflecting Emma's journey through grief. Sometimes they were filled with anger and confusion, raw and unfiltered. Other times they revealed a growing acceptance, a recognition that while Daniel's physical presence was gone, the impact he had made was enduring. Writing helped her to confront the paradox of holding on while learning to let go, to embrace the pain and the love entwined within it. This private ritual became a source of comfort and strength. Emma often found herself reaching for the journal during the quiet hours before dawn or late into the night, when the world was still and her thoughts could flow uninterrupted. The letters gave her a sense of control in a world turned upside down, a way to speak to someone who could no longer answer but who remained in her heart, profoundly present. Over time, the collection of letters grew, a testament to a love that defied absence and a grief that refused to be silenced. They were filled with memories of Daniel's laugh, his kindness, the way his eyes lit up when he talked about his dreams. They captured moments that no one else knew, stories that belonged to just the two of them. Each letter was a reminder that though he was gone, he was not forgotten. Emma's letters also became a quiet act of rebellion against the finality of death. They were proof that memory could resist erasure, that love could transcend the boundaries of time and space. Though Daniel could not reply, her words created a sacred space where their connection endured, a place untouched by the passage of years. In the quiet solitude of those writing sessions, Emma found a fragile peace. The letters were her way of carrying Daniel's memory forward, weaving him into the fabric of her everyday life. They were not just words on a page. They were an ongoing conversation, a heartbeat in the silence, a promise that the love they shared would never fade. Yet, even as she clung to these letters, Emma knew she could not live forever in this space of private mourning. The letters were a bridge between what was lost and what might still be found. They held her memories safe, but they also prepared her for the day when she might share those memories, when she might find others who understood the weight and beauty of carrying someone's memory. And so, the unsent letters remained her most precious treasure, a hidden dialogue that sustained her through the lonely nights, a testament to a love that was neither bound by distance nor diminished by death. Through them, Emma learned that even in the depths of loss, connection endures and hope can quietly bloom. Emma never expected that her path would cross with Daniel's brothers in arms, but fate has a way of weaving unexpected threads into the tapestry of life. It happened almost by accident. At a local veterans gathering she hesitantly attended after a friend's gentle encouragement. The room was filled with men and women whose eyes carried stories much like her own, stories of loss, sacrifice, and resilience. Among them, she saw faces that reminded her of Daniel's pictures, faces marked by the same courage and loyalty that had defined him. When she first met them, the Marines were cautious, guarded even. They had formed their own tight-knit brotherhood, bound by shared experiences that only they could truly understand. For years, they had carried Daniel's memory as fiercely as Emma did, holding on to his spirit as they navigated the aftermath of deployment and loss. Meeting Emma was a fragile moment, one where past grief met present need. Slowly, the barriers began to come down. The Marines shared stories, small anecdotes that painted a fuller picture of Daniel than Emma had ever known. They spoke of his humor, the way his eyes would crinkle when he laughed, the quiet moments when he showed a softer side amid the harsh realities of war. These stories were like pieces of a puzzle coming together, filling in the spaces that death had left blank. Emma listened intently, absorbing every detail as if each word was a lifeline. For the first time in years, she wasn't alone in her grief. Here were men who had stood beside Daniel, who had fought and survived, and who carried the same loss she did. Their friendship became a sanctuary, a place where shared memories formed the foundation of a new kind of family. They talked about the deployment itself, the difficult missions, the camaraderie that sustained them, and the heartbreaking moment when Daniel was lost. Hearing their perspectives gave Emma a deeper understanding of what Daniel had faced, the sacrifices he had made, and the strength it took to endure. It was a stark reminder that the battle was never just on the battlefield, but continued in the hearts of those left behind. With time, Emma and the Marines forged bonds that extended beyond shared sorrow. They celebrated Daniel's life together, honoring him through traditions they carried forward, memorial runs, charity events, and quiet moments of remembrance. These acts of tribute gave Emma a sense of belonging and purpose. They were not just honoring a fallen comrade, but affirming the power of connection and the healing that comes from community. Through these new relationships, Emma discovered that grief could be transformed. It was no longer a solitary burden, but a shared journey. Together, they navigated the complexities of loss, the anger, the sadness, and the moments of unexpected joy that could still arise. In the company of Daniel's brothers-in-arms, Emma found laughter again, the warmth of genuine friendship, and a renewed sense of hope. The Marines also introduced Emma to the wider world of military families and support networks. She learned about the strength found in advocacy, in raising awareness for veterans' needs, and in ensuring that stories like Daniel's were never forgotten. This community became a beacon of resilience, and Emma embraced her place within it, no longer just as someone who had lost, but as someone who could help carry the legacy forward. As Emma grew closer to Daniel's brothers, she realized that their gift to her was far more than friendship. It was the gift of understanding, of a love that was both profound and complicated, shaped by the shared experience of carrying a memory too heavy to bear alone. They showed her that she was not alone, that Daniel's spirit lived on not just in her heart, but in theirs as well. This chapter of Emma's life was marked by transformation, a movement from isolation to connection, from silent mourning to communal strength. The Marines became her family, united by a bond forged in hardship and healing. Together, they created a space where memory was honored, grief was shared, and love endured. Through their stories, their laughter, and their tears, Emma found a way to hold on to Daniel that was not defined by loss, but by the living presence of his memory in the hearts of those who loved him. It was a powerful reminder that even in the face of death, connection remains, and through that connection, life and love go on. The night the Marines came to Emma's door was unlike any other she had experienced since Daniel's passing. She had grown accustomed to the quiet rhythms of her life, the solitary evenings spent in reflection and the comforting solitude of her letters. But that evening, something felt different, an electric anticipation she couldn't quite place. When the knock came, it was firm and steady, and when she opened the door, there they stood. Daniel's brothers-in-arms, 12 strong, their faces both familiar and resolute. They were no longer just memories or stories. They were real, present, and here with something important to share. Emma's heart raced as they stepped inside, the room suddenly charged with a weight that went beyond words. The Marines carried with them a solemn reverence, a quiet understanding that this moment was about more than a simple visit. It was a gift, one forged in the shared pain and honor of their brotherhood. And as they gathered around her, Emma felt the profound significance of what they were about to offer. In the center of the circle, one of the Marines carefully presented a small, worn box. It was something Emma had never expected to see, an artifact from Daniel's deployment. A piece of his story that had been held close by those who had fought beside him. Inside was Daniel's field journal, battered and weathered, filled with his handwritten notes, sketches, and reflections from the days leading up to his last mission. As Emma touched the journal, a rush of emotions overwhelmed her: grief, gratitude, disbelief, and a deep, aching love. This was not just an object, it was a tangible piece of Daniel's soul, a bridge to the man she had lost but never forgotten. The pages told stories no one else had heard, moments of quiet hope amid the chaos, the fears he rarely shared, and the small victories that had sustained him. The Marines watched quietly as Emma turned the pages, the dim light casting shadows over the words that felt like whispers from the past. Each entry was a testament to Daniel's courage and humanity, revealing layers of him that even she had not known. She read about his dreams for the future, the friendships that had kept him strong, and the deep love he carried for his country and his comrades. It was in these pages that Emma found a new kind of connection, one that transcended the finality of death. The journal was a gift of trust, a sacred legacy entrusted to her by those who understood the depth of loss and the power of remembrance. It was a reminder that Daniel's story was not finished, that his voice still mattered, and that she had a vital role in carrying that story forward. The room was filled with silence, heavy but comforting, as Emma absorbed the weight of the gift. She realized that this was more than a personal treasure. It was a symbol of the unbreakable bond between soldiers and those who love them. The Marines had given her a gift no one else could, a living connection to Daniel's spirit, one that would continue to inspire and guide her. In the days that followed, Emma pored over the journal, finding solace and strength in its pages. It became a source of healing, a way to navigate her grief with newfound clarity. Through Daniel's words, she felt his presence more vividly than ever before, a steady companion on her journey toward acceptance. The gift also sparked something within Emma, a determination to honor Daniel's memory by sharing his story, by ensuring that the sacrifices made by him and his brothers would never be forgotten. The journal became the foundation of a mission, a calling to advocate for fallen soldiers and their families, to give voice to those who had been silenced by war. Through this unexpected gift, Emma discovered that love endures beyond loss, that memory is a powerful force, and that sometimes the greatest treasures come from those who stand beside us in the darkest moments. The Marines had given her more than a journal. They had given her a legacy, a family, and a future filled with hope. This chapter of Emma's life was transformed by a single, profound act of generosity and trust. It marked a turning point, a moment when grief began to shift into purpose and memory blossomed into legacy. And as Emma held the journal close, she knew that she would carry Daniel's story with her always, a beacon of light in the years to come. The gift from Daniel's brothers-in-arms had ignited something in Emma that she hadn't felt in years. A renewed sense of purpose and belonging. The journal, filled with Daniel's raw thoughts and dreams, became more than just a keepsake. It was a catalyst for change, a call to action that echoed through every part of her life. As she held the worn pages, she realized that carrying Daniel's memory was no longer just a private act of mourning, but a mission to honor him by making sure his story, and the stories of countless others like him, would be remembered and respected. Emma began to channel her grief into advocacy, driven by a powerful desire to make a difference in the lives of families who had experienced similar losses. She reached out to veteran support groups, attended memorial events, and volunteered for organizations dedicated to assisting military families. With every connection she made, she felt the strength of a growing community united by shared sacrifice and love. It was in these spaces that Emma found her voice, a voice that had once been silenced by sorrow, but now spoke with conviction and compassion. Her journey was not without its challenges. Each step forward brought moments of raw vulnerability, reminders of the pain that never fully left her heart. There were days when the weight of loss felt unbearable, when memories threatened to overwhelm her, and the future seemed uncertain. But Emma learned to lean on the brothers-in-arms, the friends she had found in Daniel's Marines, and the countless families who understood the complexities of grief. Together, they navigated the difficult terrain of healing, offering support and solidarity that transcended words. Emma also found new ways to keep Daniel's memory alive in her daily life. She established a foundation in his name, dedicated to supporting fallen soldiers' families, creating scholarships and resources to ease their burdens. She spoke at schools and community centers, sharing Daniel's story to inspire awareness and respect for the sacrifices made by those in uniform. Through her efforts, Daniel's legacy became a beacon of hope, shining brightly for others who faced the darkness of loss. The foundation grew steadily, attracting volunteers and donors who were touched by Emma's authenticity and determination. Her work became a living tribute to Daniel, a way to transform grief into action and to foster a sense of purpose that lifted her beyond pain. Each success, no matter how small, was a reminder that love could create lasting change, that memory could fuel a brighter future. As the years passed, Emma's life gradually shifted from one defined by loss to one enriched by connection and impact. The once solitary letters she wrote to Daniel were now part of a larger conversation, one that included countless voices united by remembrance and hope. She continued to write letters, speeches, and articles, sharing her journey openly, inspiring others to find strength in their own stories. Her relationship with Daniel's Marines deepened as well. They remained a steadfast support system, a chosen family bound not just by shared grief, but by the love they all held for Daniel. Together, they celebrated anniversaries, held memorial runs, and honored the fallen with rituals that strengthened their collective spirit. Through these gatherings, Emma found joy alongside sorrow, laughter alongside tears, a full spectrum of emotion that affirmed life's complexity and beauty. Emma's transformation was a testament to the power of memory and the resilience of the human heart. She had carried Daniel's memory for years, tender and sacred, but through the gift of his brothers-in-arms and the legacy they entrusted to her, she discovered a new way to live, one that embraced both loss and hope, pain and purpose. Her journey was far from over, but she now walked it with courage, surrounded by love and driven by a mission greater than herself. In the quiet moments, when the world slowed and memories rose like gentle waves, Emma still reached for the journal and the letters she had written. They were anchors to her past and guides for her future, reminders that Daniel's spirit lived on through her actions and the lives she touched. The gift she had received was more than a physical object. It was a symbol of enduring love, a legacy that no one else could give, and one she would carry with her always. Her story became one of transformation, healing, and unbreakable bonds. It was a story about the profound impact of brotherhood, the strength found in shared memories, and the extraordinary power of a love that refuses to fade. Through it all, Emma learned that carrying a fallen Marine's memory was not just about holding on to the past, but about lighting a path forward, for herself, for Daniel, and for everyone who has ever loved and lost.